Vlog on a blog. Tomorrow's news today. Get to the truth. Listen, learn, live. Visit us at yadayah.com.
Well, welcome to the vlog on the vlog. And the whole idea of a vlog on the vlog is to do a video presentation on the blog that appears on either Facebook or X. We're using the X feed now because Facebook has become unusable. And the problem with the social media is that some 90%, that's being kind, of the posts are turds in a swamp. So it's you're mostly explaining that turds stink to high heaven, but at least somebody is going to take the masters of the turds to task and say, well, this is the reality of them. And of course, we cover items that not only are posted and therefore designed to mislead on X, but also the news of the day. In fact, we have a lot of news pursuant to the Donald and his naughtiness as it relates to his current plan for Iran. So we start with this fellow who is the laughing anthropologist. And they are probably the lamest of the pseudosciences. I mean, I think that they probably are the single lowest. You might have sociologists beneath them. Well, maybe somebody that is getting a degree in gender studies or in kinesiology or something of that, but they're right there at that level. And this bozo is mocking the idea that those of us who actually read and understand history recognize that in the beginning, Hitler manifest himself and his party as socialists. And he doesn't like the idea that we would actually refer to them by the name they referred to themselves. So I would just point out to this anthropologist who wants to mock the idea that Hitler, as well as Mussolini, and you can read a lot about Mussolini's politics. He was definitely a socialist. They just rebranded themselves fascists, which is a different word for exactly the same thing. So not only does Nazi mean National Socialist German Workers' Party, that is what the acronym means. National Socialist German Workers' Party. You're familiar with the term socialist?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's right socialist there in the name, folks.
Communist, it's right there in the name, right? It's a derivation from a Marxist ideology. That is what he called himself. And the thing that the Marxists don't understand when they make fascists their enemies is that they are spitting in the mirror. Fascism and socialism are the same form of government and of economic governance. In both, almost all essential and main communal assets are nationalized. But there is still private ownership. Although the private ownership is highly controlled because they're told what to make and who to employ. And in both systems, propaganda replaces actual news. In both systems, productivity is stifled because there's way too many impositions placed on private industry, and too much of industry is nationalized, and too much of capital is foolishly invested by people who have never made anything in their lives and have no understanding of business or commerce or how things are made. And so socialism and fascism, central collective governments with dictatorial kinds of oversight and stifled productivity with lots of collectivization. They are the same. They're pal. And maybe if you had actually chosen a livelihood other than pseudoscience, you might have known that.
Yeah, fascism.
Sides of the same coin. Different management style.
Different
Same
management
point.
style.
Yeah, different management names.
Yes.
I'm not even sure there's a different management style. It's certainly they give different names to the managers, like Comrade or Der Fuhrer.
If fascism symbolized what was the Roman word fasces? It was a bundle of sticks, right? It's the bundle of sticks together with the axe head on it. And I was always fascinated that one of those exists in Congress. There's that symbol behind Congress that is the symbol for fascism, us bound together, you know?
Yes. Yeah, bound together, which is the same thing as socialism. I mean, socialism and Marxism, they're collectivized government schemes. Free enterprise is individual control, individual decisions, individual responsibility. Socialism, fascism, communism are all top-down management systems where the rule of the few is imposed on the many. And so people bundled together, bound together, controlled by the few. That's the nature of it. And if you don't understand it, then you're a fool.
Much like, what's the word? Religare, right? The
religare, the Latin word for religion. It means to rebind. It's from ligament, and it's to rebind, and that became the word for religion. It's a way to bind people, to control them, to shackle them, if you will. That's the nature of it. Religion and politics exist for a singular reason, that is to control. That's why a dog barks too, that you see Rich having to get up and let Asher in.
Rich is well trained, obviously.
Well trained. He is. Rich has his bark leash on. Asher woofs.
I jump.
Yeah, Asher woofs. He jumps. I would have gotten up, but I'm tethered right now with all of this. And he was tethered too, but he unplugged. All right.
This guy jumps. I mean, he twists himself in every way fashion to say that the right steals the best ideas from the left, doesn't he, in this? I mean, he's like, the right takes, this best idea of health care and all these wonderful ideas that the socialists have, and the right just rebrands them in their own. They take all our best ideas.
No, it's exactly the opposite. Yeah, I mean, what Numbskull here doesn't know, and this is perfect scholar of lame sciences, is that Marxism, socialism did not exist prior to Karl Marx, and so it is a new form of government. It is the single deadliest manifestation of humanity ever. Now, that is not to say that Marxist socialists didn't copy lots of stuff from others, because as the most recent player on the block, they were not copied by anyone. They are the copiers. And if he understood even the timing of his own socialist origins, he would know that it is impossible for the conservatives, the non-collective Marxist governments, to have stolen from the Marxist governments, since a Marxist government didn't exist prior to 150 some odd years ago, not even less than that. And now what he doesn't recognize and doesn't want to say, because he's a stupid moron, because all Marxists are stupid morons, it just goes with the territory, is that Marxism has killed 200 million people since its invention.
Oh, we'll get to that later. Yeah.
Yeah. And having killed 200 million people, it's not a good thing. So if you want to claim that you're stealing from somebody, well, then you'd be stealing from the Muslims, who are the only more lethal human invention than Marxism is Islam, that has killed 250 million people. Although in the last 125 years, the Marxists have been far deadlier than the Muslims. And you look at Mao Zedong, what 80 million people starved to death as he imposed socialism, and 50 million people starved to death in the USSR as Stalin imposed socialism. Yeah, I mean, look at what's happening in North Korea even today. I realize that 60% of young people and 65% of Democrats are socialists. And all I can say to you is that what you're displaying is that you're ignorant, you're irrational, and you're immoral. You're stupid. I mean, that's the simple word for it is you're really stupid. You don't know. And if you don't know, that's one thing, but don't vote if you don't know. Don't post on social media if you don't know, because clearly you don't know. You really are stupid. You're ignorant. You think that you were educated. No, you were indoctrinated. You were not educated. You have no life skill. This is our purpose of the blog on the blog, to show you that turds really do stink. This, on the other side of the equation, Christianity, it's got to be the dumbest idea ever for a religion. So this one says death was proof that Jesus was human. Resurrection was proof that he was God. If that resonates with you, you're also a nincompoop. I mean, let's get this right. So you're saying that your God was a man and that men killed your God. Oops. I mean, think that through again. You're saying that your God was a man and that men killed your God. If that's what you're saying and that's what you want to believe, then you have to have your head up your tuchus.
Goddamn Phil. Epic goddamn Phil.
What was that?
We needed some sound bites, so Leia's helping us out on the show with some sound bites.
Okay, well, the good news is that I killed Jesus, so he's not going to. For anybody that reads Twistianity and the 5 volumes of Twistianity at yadayah.com, I not only killed Jesus, but I confessed to doing what God asked me to do. I proved most certainly he was neither God nor man. How about that? And goddamn religion, and goddamn religion exposes and condemns Islam. In Twistianity, in the 5 volumes, I proved that Jesus was neither a God nor a man. How about that? Proof. 0 for 2, irrefutably. Right? In fact, you can't. There is a 0% possibility that any Christian can refute Twistianity. They couldn't refute 1% of it, much less all of it.
Yeah.
Oops. There you go there, moron. You're a real smart one. Religious morons, political morons, all morons. Okay, well, we've got another moron, and this one's given blondes a bad name, the patriotic blonde. I think the patriotic blonde is this woman who went from being a MAGA tush talker for Trump to now just being an anti-Semite. She had to have some appeal on X, and if you're going to dump Trump, then the next most popular thing to do would become an anti-Semite. So you can show this because the world is going to see these kinds of scenes and has seen these kinds of scenes. So she is saying Israel did this in Gaza. Who are the terrorists again? Now, cause and consequence may not be a concept that resonates amongst blondes. And I'm sorry if you are a blonde and you think that that is offensive, but I think this is offensive. And she has designated herself as the patriotic blonde. So I'm here to tell you that not evidently, in this woman's blonde head, cause and consequence is something that she has no concept of. Gaza was destroyed because Gazans tried to destroy Israel. You leave Gaza and you murder over 1,000 Jews. You torture them. And then you haul 250 of them back to Gaza and you torture them all some more. This is a consequence of having done that. You don't want this to happen. Well, you shouldn't have done that. And oh, by the way, the religion that is responsible for 99% of all terrorist acts around the world, dumb blonde, is Islam. It happens to be the same religion as in Gaza. How come you can't make that connection? Or does your brain not work, patriotic blonde? 99% of the world's terrorist acts are perpetrated by Muslims. That's what Muslims from Gaza did on 10/7 of 23. That's what they have done for the last 14 centuries. May I remind you that in the first 100 years of Islam, Muslims murdered 200 million people. That was 1/3 of the earth's population. The Quran claims that there are only two types of Muslims, those who have died killing for Allah and those who will die killing for Allah. It is a death cult. This is the consequence of Islam, Miss Blondie.
That's the point I wanted to make. You just made it. Is Islam not only terrorizes those that are not a part of Islam, those are the terrorists, what they did in 10/7, it also terrorizes its own population. This is exactly what Sinwar wanted. We have letters confirming this is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, that's the other part of this, is that Sinwar's entire plan for Alaska flood, which is a Quranic name for the event, was to bludgeon Israel to such an extent, to be so savage, to be so vile, to be so cruel in their attacks that Israel would be prompted into the destruction of Gaza. That is what they wanted. If you're not smart enough to understand that, then my words aren't going to help you anyway. But that's exactly what they wanted. And as proof that that's what he wanted, Sinwar wrote that in his messaging about why they needed to be so cruel. But the Marxists that had been paid by Qatar and others in American universities and European universities were already ready with their signs, their messages, and their parades to condemn Israel of genocide in Gaza before Israel even invaded Gaza, because it was the plan all along. Israel was baited. They were played into the destruction of Gaza by these Muslims who knew that killing their own people was irrelevant to them if killing their own would lead to the destruction of Israel. And that's the plan that they perpetrated. And unfortunately, Netanyahu was so vile, he destroyed Israel as a result of being played, because these images are unbelievably destructive to Israel, because most people out there are no brighter than that blonde. Former U.S. Marine, 20 years ago, I took part on the war on terror, and now I feel that we are the terrorists. Today, all American citizens share the same feeling that the United States and Israel are terrorists. Hey there, Blondie, you were the terrorist back then. Mm-hmm. Afghanistan and Iraq didn't do squat to you or to America. And you terrorized. Remember shock and awe? Mm-hmm. You terrorized Afghanistan and Iraq. You killed over 1 million people. You dropped cluster bombs on them. You were the terrorists. Oops.
Yeah. Going door to door in cities, kicking down doors, invading homes, and killing people. I mean, it is exactly what happened in 10/7, you know. So
we were that America was the terrorist regime in Afghanistan and Iraq, and America is the terrorist regime today, whether it's Venezuela and using Ukraine as a proxy, or it's in Iran. America is the terrorist state of the world. And you, as a military person who engaged in the war on terror, were actually the terrorist. You went to two places where Al-Qaeda was not. And all you did was make two very bad situations infinitely worse. So I say, you don't have much news here on X that is viable. All this is my feed. Grok decides what he wants to serve up, and this is what Grok thought would be interesting. He is the turd dispenser. That's what he is. Grok is a turd dispenser because what I'm responding to are the turds that Grok, who runs X, served one as another. This is the latest of the dumpster. Speaking of turds in his pants, is that he is now given up on negotiating a surrender with Iran, and that now that he realizes that he has no more weapons to deploy, that whole we're going to go after the leakers turned out to be that there were over 40 senior flag officers that anonymously went to the press worldwide that had communicated a decision that they would go collectively, so that there were scores of them around the world, and they told the same story, that America's war against Iran was failing, and that there were no targets that were going to make any difference, and that more of the same was going to deliver the same result, which was utter failure. And that in the process, America had run out of precision munitions to strike targets in Iran, and more importantly, had run out of interceptors to protect American assets that America had already, by the way, abandoned worldwide. So they said, you don't have the option of being insane here. So SAR, I know you're insane, but you don't have the option of being insane. More of the same, expecting a different result, is no longer possible. This war is over, whether you want it to be over or not. So the dumpster, having signed a memorandum of understanding, which was a surrender document, which had 14 points, of which 13 were complete capitulation by the United States, and one was a neutral statement, which said that Iran wouldn't develop a bomb. Iran has been in a position where they could have developed a bomb any day over the last 15 years and have chosen not to. So that was a neutral point. The other 13 were surrender terms by the United States. And so Iran is back into that same position. It said, you signed this, and if you want the strait open, you will honor this. And Trump is saying, but I don't want to sign anything. I just want to leave. What he wants to do is what I would call the Houthi part 2. He's going to do the Houthi dance. He's got the Houthi dance. He's got the move. He's going to do the Houthi part 2. You recall that Trump said that with the Houthis that he was going to bomb them like they've never been bombed before. That he was going to make certain that the Houthis could never bomb another ship in the straits, and they'd be all done. Well, he bombed the Houthis to the point where I think he had squandered $20 billion, had lost 2 fighter jets and many very expensive drones, and made no progress. And so he's saying, oh, now what the hell do I do? More of the same is going to deliver the same results. It was actually the UAE that came up with the solution. The solution was sail away and claim victory. And that's what he did. He sailed away and claimed victory, leaving the situation exactly as he had found it after squandering America's credibility and lots of bombs. So now in Iran, he has done the same thing, but against a much more formidable foe, and has squandered everything, including the world's access to food, metals, important elements, and fuel. And now he was so embarrassed by signing the Treaty of Versailles Part 2 that his only viable option appears now to be sail away into the sunset, declare victory, and leave. But his problem here is that what he is saying is what he is going to concede on is something the Iranians don't give 2 squats about. He says, I will concede on the only issue that mattered to him. The only thing he's ever used to justify this war is that Iran must never have a nuclear bomb. He's going to concede on that. So the 1 point of the 14 in the MOU that could be saying, well, that's something the Iranians are giving. which they won't have a bomb. He says, I'm willing to concede on that. He's willing to concede on it because he claims that he has prevented it now twice over. Of course, he has not. And the rest of it, he just wants to walk away, and they'll have them open the strait. The problem is that they don't give a hoot about the nuclear bomb. They don't need one. They used it as a ploy to lure in America because it changed the situation in the Middle East so that Iran now is the superpower of the Middle East. And it proved that America's petrodollar protection system wasn't worth squat. So Iran's in charge of the strait. So Iran is being given something that they don't care about by the U.S. And the U.S. now wants Iran for the thing that they don't care about, because they could have had a bomb at any time over the last 15 years, to them to open up the straits. But Iran's said, you signed a document, and on that document, the paragraph said specifically that we were to negotiate with Oman to establish the conditions under which Iran would control the Strait of Hormuz. They did. They formed an agreement. They fulfilled their obligations under the MOU. So there is 0% possibility that the Iranians are going to say, oh, sure, we'll just pull back and you can sail in and out of the straits, no fees, no charges, no nothing. It's all yours. Well, the dumpster knows that's not going to happen. So what he says is it's America is leaving, and those who use the strait need to police it. So he's telling Iran, they're telling Kuwait and Qatar and UAE and Saudi Arabia, who did nothing to defend themselves and have no means to defend themselves, that they need to go defend the straits. And that those who buy the oil out of the straits, like EU, that has no interest in going to war with Iran, that they need to defend the straits that America screwed up. That's what he is proposing here, that America is just going to leave. Mm-hmm. After making the mess, you poop in the corner, and then, in fact, in the only hallway out of the door, you pooped right in the middle of it, and you're saying, I want somebody else to go clean it up. I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. It stinks here.
Yeah.
But you can't. This isn't a solution, Donald, mm-hmm. because the Iranians will control the strait. They will... their plan, the estimate on their plan, I think, is $120 billion a year. And oh, by the way, even to allow America to leave and for Iran to control the strait, it still is requiring $100 billion from America, plus the release of all confiscated funds, which somewhere between 25 and 50 billion. So let's just put it on the low end. So it's $125 billion from America just for the right to leave, mm-hmm. plus $100 billion from America. And even then, while the straits are open, they won't be open to Israel or the United States, mm-hmm. and they won't be open to anybody that buys oil in dollars, nor will they be open to anybody that supported the United States in this effort, and that all others will pay a tariff that enriches Iran, because Iran now is the hegemon of the region. So, Donald, you might be able to write this tweet, and you may have back in Air Force old, but Air Force new and Air Force old doesn't change anything. You're the same scum you always were. You made a mess. You pooped in the only hallway that was to get out of this room, and no one can stand the stench, and you can't simply walk away. But that's his new plan. Walk away, give them $100 billion plus $25 billion, call it a day, and say it's somebody else's problem. You go clean up the mess.
Yeah, I've been very unclear about the $100 billion, because they were talking about it being a third of Iran's economy. And that it sounded like to me like these were going to be some that Iran was no longer going to charge individual fees to each ship owner, like the $2 million or whatever, the whatever per barrel, and that the United States was going to pick up those fees. That we wanted $100 billion a year from the United States to keep the Strait open to other traffic. That's what it sounded like to me. And I was,
that is what we're back into is Trump's negotiating with himself.
Yes.
Okay. Trump is negotiating with himself. Iran's last official statement was that you want to know what it will take to end this war. Read the memorandum of understanding that you signed. Mm-hmm. We're not backing away from any of those points. So you want to know what's necessary to end the war, that's what's necessary to end the war. If you want to open the strait, that's the way the strait will be opened. There is no indication that the Iranians are going to go back on the deal that they negotiated with Oman. There is no reason for them to.
Right.
Now, as for whether the reparations will be $100 billion or $300 billion, which is really the only difference here, and whether the Strait of Hormuz will be uncharged, unfeed for 60 days, only which 30 of them could potentially be operative because the first 30 were clearing of mines. That we don't know, because guess what? You know what we have from the Iranians? Squat. And since you don't have a deal that is being presented by the Iranians, and you know that Trump makes shit up, mm-hmm. I'd be careful as to what it will be. I know that the two previous plans, Iran has been absolutely consistent. We've gone over every detail of the 10-point plan and the 14-point memorandum of understanding. And there's been no indication that Iran has backed off of either of those two things. And now that Iran knows that America doesn't have any munitions left and no interceptors to protect anybody, and that they have lost all face and favor in the Arab fiefdoms, and that they now have a lost war with the Ukraine attacking Russia and have lost that one miserably and can't supply Ukraine anymore. In fact, they're trying to take weapons now from Turkey and deliver them into Ukraine. Good luck with that. So it's over. And the Iranians know that America has not only lost, but there's nothing America can do to resolve this problem. And so there is zero incentive and every for Iran to come off what they previously had Trump sign.
Oh, sure.
They're in a much stronger position a month after the fact of what Trump signed in Versailles than they were when he signed it. So there is no reason for them to come off it at all, and they won't. All right, this is interesting. It's 2,000 years old from Israel's point of view. That's not very old, but of course it predates Islam, so it predates the notion that there could be Muslim Fakistinians that claim that the place is Palestine. But it's a tablet that was written in Hebrew. This is the square Hebrew. It's kind of an interesting combination of letters. One of the letters there is the yod as the upper arm reaching down and out, mm-hmm. with the open hand. So you can see that it's a blend of three different texts there. You can see things as clear as the tent peg and one of them, the taw, and one of them it's the backwards foot and one of those letters. So this is a combination of Paleo Hebrew, which we call Yada Torah. On our site, we've created that. If you want to download it, it's free at yadayah.com. And then there is that in between text that had a very edgy kind of all hard lines. It lost its anthropomorphic detail. The original language was written all either depicting human elements, eyes, mouth, head, person standing up, or things and hands and open hands and outreached hands and things, feet. The second and it also had things like, plows and trees and fences for division, things that humans could relate to. The bull, the ram that were essential to civilization, homes were depicted in it. The next version, which is very much edgy, and it only carried some of that anthropomorphic graphic nature into it. And then there was the Babylonian text, and there seems to be a blend of them. So where it says that my 6-year-old daughter can read what her ancestor wrote 2,000 years ago, that's not really true. But the more important of this is this person says that this was found in Jerusalem, and says in Hebrew, from Jerusalem. And that's why you see the outstretched arm, because Jerusalem begins with the same letter as Yahweh's name, the Yod. But in this case, if you really want to come home, you want your daughter to come home, then you need to embrace your name, which is Yehud, not Jew. And you need to embrace Yahweh's name. Yeah. And if you don't do those things, I'm sorry. Jerusalem actually means source from which guidance and teaching regarding reconciliation come. So it's a source of teaching and guidance regarding reconciliation. It's from Yara, which is the verbal root of Torah, to teach, to guide, to instruct, and to direct, and Shalom, which is to reconcile a relationship. So it is teaching and guidance regarding reconciling a relationship. So that'd be interesting for your daughter to know as well.
Yeah, the very nature of the first letter, stone was found in Jerusalem, says from, no, it doesn't say from Jerusalem, it says from Yerushalem, right?
Yes,
I mean,
Jerusalem.
It's a yod.
Yes, and the from would be a mem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for those who might have missed it, but a little over a week ago, we did have this presentation of Sigmund Freud was diagnosing a rabbi, and he called the rabbi Rabbi Putz. And should I tell him that I erased Yahweh's name? Well, Putz, we all know that you did. And the consequence of having done so has you hated by Yahweh, and it is unforgivable, Rabbi Putz, that you erased Yahweh's name. You should read the third statement that he etched in stone. It says that anybody who erased, negates, belittles Yahweh's name will be unforgived, that there is no forgiveness for having done that. It is the unforgivable crime, and it is an essential crime in Judaism. In fact, the very fact that you refer to yourself as Jews in Judaism means that you've erased Yahweh's name, because your actual name is Yehud, which is a blend of Yahweh's name and Dod's name. So you've done this throughout your religion, throughout your culture, throughout time. And so you are Rabbi Putz.
Yeah.
So this is Netanyahu and Trump. And the Pentagon is evidently pressuring Israel to end the wars and de-escalation in Iran, because, well, so long as Israel threatens Iran, America can't get out of the war. And so long as Israel rejects the Gaza peace plan, which they did, and rejects the idea of leaving Lebanon, which they have, then there is no end for this war. The dumpster can't even walk away from the poo that he put in the hallway. So they're trying their level best to control Israel, which destroys the whole myth that Netanyahu and Israel control Trump, which is what all the anti-Semites have been spewing. And it's really vile all over the map at these days. It is Trump that treats Israel as its vassal. And this is really a difficult spot, because while Trump has surrounded himself by clowns, and there probably isn't 100 IQ in that whole boardroom when they meet as a cabinet. Somebody is going to waltz in there and they're going to tell him what the prophets have already told us, that the only way out of the Iranian mess is to play Neville Chamberlain and sacrifice Israel. And that's what he's going to do. And the prophets are clear. He does it.
And that's going to be tough for him because Yisrael renamed Golan Trump Heights, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Trump is going to do it in such a way that he's going to tell the Israelis, I have your back. You now don't have to worry. You capitulate. You give a Fakistinian homeland, and I win the Nobel Peace Prize, and these Arab nations are going to accept you with the Abraham Accords, and it's really going to be good for you to do this, and I will promise the full strength of the United States to protect you. We'll put America's bases in Israel so that we're ever at the ready to protect you. And of course, what the Towrah and Prophets say about Rahab is that when it comes time for him to honor that promise, he doesn't do squat. But they'll believe the promise, so they'll go along with it. I mean, Netanyahu is a diminutive devil, with Trump being Satan. So Israel is largely going to go along with it. They're going to view the great betrayer as their savior because they have been wrong about everything pertaining to God and to Satan for 4,000 years. They're not suddenly going to say, oh, wow, now that you've explained it to us, you've read our prophets to us and explained them to us, we're going to be all better now. Thanks very much. We'll no longer believe that Trump is the second coming of Cyrus and that Netanyahu has saved the Israel and the world from terrorists, because you were kind enough to explain it to us. No, they're not. You got the junior devil here and the big devil, and collectively they will both sacrifice Israel. They already have. I mean, Netanyahu, with his destruction of Gaza, with his 2 invasions of Lebanon, and with his 2 attacks on Iran, has positioned Israel as the single most hated nation in the world.
Easily.
It is the single most repeated theme on X, hate and blame Israel. So they have made it easy and imminent for Trump to play the role of Neville Chamberlain and sacrifice Israel and still appear as if he is the peacemaker resolving Israel's problems. He's going to lie to them. It's what he does best.
And they can't even come together enough to form a government. So there's no way for them to oppose anything that Netanyahu wants to do, right? I mean, while there is no government, Netanyahu's the guy. I mean, it's not like he goes away, right? I mean,
that's right.
And
they can't form a government. I mean, the only way they can form a government is to take a center-left coalition that partners with Ram as the rightist religious coalition has partnered with the Haredi, and that's only if Israelis come to the conclusion that I have, that as bad as Muslims are, Ram at least accepts the existence of a Jewish state and isn't anti-Zionist. And therefore, a coalition with Ram, while bad, isn't even 1% as bad as a coalition with the Haredi, which are a parasite in the Black Death killing Israel.
Yeah.
So you have people who are prone to kill Israel that you're partnering with if you were to replace Netanyahu versus those who are actively destroying Israel. That's your choice. Oy vey.
Oy vey.
Oh, Christianity does not progress with the times. If it did, it would be a false religion. Well, I'm telling you, it is a false religion, and the fact that it does not progress with the times, it doesn't keep up with the times, is one of the reasons you know it to be a false religion. And by the way, all religions are false because God hates religion. Do not be deceived into thinking that there's a progressive form of Christianity. It doesn't exist because the truth never changes. There is no truth in Christianity. It is a pile of lies. The entire religion is based upon contradictions. Every citation in the New Testament of the Torah and prophets is errant. Every single one of them. And the religion is based entirely on stealing the promises that were made in the Torah and prophets and wrongly applying them to the people that the Torah and prophets warn Israel against. And they do so by misrepresenting every statement that they cite in the Torah and prophets. So if you have a religion that's based solely on lies, like Amen, by the way, which is the name of an Egyptian god, it cannot be true. I mean, the basis of Christianity, which was conceived by Paul, he wrote the first 14 books of the Christian New Testament, and he was the reason the next 3 were written. So he wrote all of the letters attributable to him, plus Hebrews. And then he inspired Mark, Luke, and the book of Acts, and he is the subject of the book of Acts. He is Christianity. He was the one who conceived the myth of Jesus Christ. He admitted that he was demon-possessed. And he contradicts himself, contradicts history, makes the most ludicrous, irrational claims, falls prey of virtually every irrational fallacy, and misquotes Yahowah on every occasion, and never once quotes his imaginary Jesus. And you want to believe that that's true. And the basic premise is that, according to Paul, God was so lame that he couldn't solve the problem of humanity. And so God gave up and said, although my approach then through the Torah is meaningless, I failed, so I'm going to this sexual pervert, demon-possessed murderer who is a farce on the basis of everything, including his ability to write and to reason. And I'm telling him that he can create a religion that resolves my problem of not being able to save anyone. Now, if you believe that's true, you can be a Christian. But that's the premise of Christianity.
You got to drink a lot of
Jesus-
Kool-Aid to believe this shit.
You really have
Right.
to. You have to either get a lot of mushrooms, magic mushrooms in the day.
Ergo,
Yeah, a lot of real stupid here to make this work. And it's, when they say you can't fool all the people all the time, you can come damn close.
It's 2.2 billion, right? It's
Right.
not bad. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, right? Okay. So,
Yeah, I would
except
agree
his
with that,
name.
by the way.
Except
I
his
would
name.
agree with that. Yeah, I would
Well,
agree
no,
with that.
he-
But by the way, his name, he can't be because the fact that his name wasn't even introduced until 1629. So he could not have been the same yesterday because in 1629, his name didn't exist. But I will give you this, that he is the same because he was a fraud then. He's a fraud now.
Mhm.
And I put him out of his misery. I killed him 1,000 times over.
A myth is a myth is a myth.
So he is diddly-eye dead. Go read Twistianity at yada.com. I massacred him. I mean, I removed every shred of credibility that could ever be associated with him. He is absolutely, irrefutably, and certifiably dead.
I wish this one had a picture, and I'm only going to hit on it because it's just so it's so delusional that priests don't kill you when you disagree with them. Well, recently,
too bad.
I mean,
the picture didn't. The picture
what's the
didn't come
Inquisition?
through. Yeah.
What's the Inquisition?
Wait. What about the Inquisition? What about the 1900 years of murdering and subjugating, persecuting Jews?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, come on. Are you that delusional? What you never heard of the Crusades?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
Recently, all the graves they're finding at the children's Catholic children's homes up in from the Native Americans and stuff.
Yeah, and throughout Europe, and there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of children that have been murdered by priests. raped and then murdered by priests. Yes, they do kill you, and all it is here is a different set of delusions. But you're right; that's a good point. The priests have been vicious for a very, very long time. So
I thought this was our guy. He was such an attractive guy, such a fighter.
Yeah,
he was our
handsome
guy.
handsome guy, real
Handsome
fighter. Real fighter, handsome guy. Yeah, gave him some cologne and everything. Had him come to the White
Great
House,
guy.
treated him like a son. He was our guy. So the CIA worked awful hard to get Assad out so that the Syrians would buy American weapons. What is? Oh my goodness! There he is in Russia. So much for regime change. In fact, now Syria has given Russia the right to keep its bases there. A military alliance with Russia. Okay. Worked out really well. Another failed regime change move for America. There you go. Sorry about that, Putin. But boy, does he ever tower over Putin's just a little guy. Jolani, head of the Islamic State. Good job, CIA. You should be so
Good place for this
that
one.
Cologne that Trump gave him.
Yeah, I wonder if he is wearing that cologne that Trump gave him. Yeah, in fact, he might have even shown up to Putin and say, "Hey, you want to sniff under my arms?"
Right.
It's Ode Day Trump. Bring back nightmares, huh? Ode Day Trump. Yeah, it worked out great. America's such, she should be so proud, MAGA.
Epic goddamn fail.
That one's working out.
Who's Phil, by the way? Goddamn, is it Phil?
Fail.
Oh, goddamn
Epic
fail.
fail.
Oh,
Yeah,
epic
yeah,
fail. Oh, epic fail. I need an interpreter for my wife. Sometimes.
She's trying to mumble it under her breath. I think.
Epic fail. Okay.
Oh, she was not mumbling when she said that.
But you recorded her. Oh, maybe that was part of that show she did with
With Dr. Jeff, yes. Yeah,
Dr.
it was
Jeff?
refuting rabbinical rubbish. Yeah.
We got a couple nuggets out of that show.
Epic fail. Okay. Well, now that I know the lingo, I will go along. All right. So here we have Captain Allen. Captain Allen says, Jews are the only people in the world who still speak, read, and write and pray in the same language their ancestors used 3,000 years ago and in the same land. Well, Captain Allen.
Who do that? Who?
Here to tell you, Captain Allen, that the language has changed appreciably. That, in fact, it's changed so much that you've actually gone back and accepted what I announced 25 years ago, that the diacritical markings that the Masoretes used to convey the false notion that there were no vowels in Hebrew, that they had 22 consonants, when it's not true. There's 17 consonants and 5 vowels. That you didn't need those diacritical marks after all, because if you look at modern standard Hebrew, it doesn't have any diacritical marks and you can pronounce what you read. So they've at least gone back to that, although that new alphabet doesn't square with the original alphabet of the Torah. But the language has changed. You don't have the same stems. You don't have the same moods. And the vocabulary itself, only about 20% of it is derived from the Towrah and Prophets. The rest is from the rabbis and from English to cover modern concepts. So it's changed a lot. In fact, it's changed as much as Latin would be understood by someone speaking Italian. And just to reinforce this, there were no Jews prior to 1650. You want to go back 3,000 years and you can't even go back 250. There were no Jews prior to 1650. And not only have prayers rather than listening been the primary problem. You didn't say listen, but you said prayer. And that's the problem. You've been yabbering to an imaginary God as opposed to listening to the actual God. And it's as a result of Judaism, which was conceived in 1910. So the prayers are prayers based on Judaism. And the Judaism that you practice today was invented in 1910. And that's a very sad story for Jews, because it was in Europe that after all of the hell that had come upon Jews by the Roman Catholic Church, ghettos and shtetls and pogroms and all manner of dehumanization. As a result of the Enlightenment, there were Europeans that were reaching out to Jews in the shtetls and ghettos and said, come join us. Be part of this society. And it was the rabbis who said no. And it was the rabbis who created Orthodox Judaism, now known as Haredi Judaism, at that time, around 1910, to oppose the integration of Jews into European society. What happened after 1910? The anti-Semitism that led to the Holocaust. Not only did rabbis create Christianity by training Paul to do what he did, and therefore create the problem that had led to the chance of emancipation in 1910, where you were subjugated and persecuted, dehumanized and demonized for 19 centuries. Not only did rabbis create that, they also created the diaspora that had you be in Europe in the first place, because Rabbi Akiba came up with a false Messiah, and Bar Kokhba, the son of the very star that you wear. And then in the 7th century, rabbis in Yathrib sold Talmud stories, Babylonian Talmud stories, to Muhammad to create the Quran. Without them, there is no Quran. And so they created Islam and Christianity, the Jewish menace, if you will, the two most anti-Semitic religions in human history. That's all rabbinic doing. And then when you finally had the opportunity to be part of Europe and live there as full members of European society, it was the rabbis who kept you from doing it, setting you up for the Holocaust. You can blame them for the Holocaust 3 times over, because ultimately it was a merger between Islam and socialism, Marxism, that created the Holocaust, because Hitler was going to simply rob and then exile Jews, and it was the Grand Mufti who wanted them exterminated. Too bad you can't read your own history. Too bad you can't read what Yahowah actually wrote to you. And then you would know the truth, and it would be so much more powerful than this half-truth that you're promoting.
They don't want to be held accountable.
No, they don't. But they don't even know what they don't know. What I've just shared with them is irrefutable. And it's profoundly important. And it's exceedingly well documented. And they don't want to deal with it.
32,000 posts on X. And 25 people have seen this, of your post.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't play X the way that you have to play X if you actually wanted to increase your following. That profile page, that you would go to, are the respondents, whatever that is, on notifications, and then you communicate with those people and you follow up, and that's how you I don't do it anymore. I haven't been to notifications now forever. So if somebody is trying to communicate with me, I'm not communicating. I use X. Having played on X for over a year and presenting over 30,000 posts, trying to awaken Jews from their stupor, trying to fight anti-Semitism, trying to awaken people to the great lies and destruction of Marxism. and to repudiate Christianity. That after 30,000 posts, realizing that I had changed maybe no lives, I realized this is not a place to be. And then Grok destroyed any hope of X being effective, because Grok was told by Elon to no longer honor what the users of X wanted. If they said, I want to follow somebody, that was irrelevant to what they would see in their feed. If somebody said they wanted to follow you, they would not see what you posted. It would be Grok that would decide what you would receive and what you would dish out. And once that was done, there became no reason whatsoever to use X. It became useless. So I only use it now for this particular purpose, because somebody's got to point out what's wrong in that turd farm. And that's this job. The United States of the post here has been an extraordinarily aggressive power, by far one of the most aggressive countries in the world. That is not one of the most. There's nowhere close to the United States. The United States, even before it became the United States, has been at war 120 times. I mean, it's I think in 250
200
years. Well, and actually it's 300 years, including the colonist period. America hasn't been at peace but 5% of that time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
America is the most belligerent, destructive, deadly force on earth. And that's exactly what the prophet Yahowah described. The 18th chapter, he describes America to the T. And he does so to condemn America. So when this presentation is that, America is just one conflict after another, one war after another, one aggressive move after another, one undermining elected governments after another, that there is only ignorance and propaganda that cause Americans to think that they are the supporters of democracy and that they're the peacemakers and they're the good guys in the world, because America's not. They are the most rogue nation on earth.
Yeah, this says 500,000 a year through its sanctions. That's all this is talking about, is the sanctions that the United States puts everywhere. That's over its 50 years it has been sanctioning. It's killed 23 million people. Now, granted, you put that up against Mao's China or the socialist USSR or even Islam. Those are rookie numbers. But United States is just getting warmed up. Okay, correct. I mean, we have Rahab leading us into the next 7 years, so he's just getting warmed up. So
yeah, but I think that is the consequence of American sanctions. America weaponized the dollar, and the weaponization of the dollar, something that Putin talks about a lot, something that you hear China talk about a fair amount. But the weaponizing of the dollar fundamentally changed the world. First of all, it told every country you can no longer trust America. You cannot rely on America being the reserve currency of the world, because if you step out of line with what America wants you to do, they're going to sanction you and isolate you. And it's the consequence, and they will steal your money. So it's the consequence is devastating. Plus, if you are holding dollars to make trades, America is stealing 5% of your holdings every year. They have a 5% tax on you by printing money and destroying the value of those dollars that you're holding. So there's a 5% annual tax on the entire world to use the petrodollar system. And that by weaponizing the dollar, by stealing nations' sovereign assets in dollars, and then sanctioning them so they can't sell and buy goods on the open market, America has turned much of the world into an enemy of the United States and an enemy of the petrodollar system and the reserve currency status of the dollar. But as this analysis says, they've also killed millions of people. So, yeah, we may not be as bad as Mao's revolutionaries or of Stalin's Bolsheviks. And we're certainly not as bad as Muhammad's Muslims.
Give it
But
time.
just give Trump a little time, and he's going to have the high game score. I can assure you.
8 billion
Better
people on the
marketing.
planet.
Better marketing.
We got better marketing. Well, raise your little flag, and it's all for the red, white, and blue, and mom, and apple pie, and
Yeah, I don't think MAGAs are expert marketers anymore. They're making utter fools of themselves. They're even beginning to lose their own allegiance to Trump. There's been a 10% decline on the MAGA support of Trump just in the last month. And so them presenting Trump as the glorious warrior and the Messiah figure and all of the great statesmen, no one is buying it. And but Trump is what we're witnessing with Trump is the rise and fall simultaneously of the Fourth Reich, and it's going to be gruesome. This next 7 years is going to be like nothing that the world has ever seen previously.
yeah, he's coming to war in the United States.
Yeah, he wants a war in the United States because with a war in the United States, there won't be elections in 2028.
Well, to circle back to the, you said there were 40 flag officers that were leaking, that we have no more. This is the line that those guys draw, not practicing on Americans in America, right? Because that's what they were told. They were all brought by Trump and Hegseth to, this is what's, and your war will be against Americans in American soil. That's what was said. And
Yes,
any of you guys that don't like it, you can leave now, right?
Right.
And less than 8, 4 of them?
Eight.
I forget.
Eight resigned.
Eight left.
8 resigned. Yes.
8 resigned.
Eight
Okay.
resigned out of 800. I had thought that 10% might man up, but it was 1% that manned up. And
so they're okay with that. But
yeah, subsequently now that they've been
bullets.
asked, subsequently now they've been engaged in all manner of war crimes in Iran, and they are up against it, which means that they're flag officers in a military that doesn't have any weapons left.
Mm-hmm.
And so now there's more of them that spoke up, not against Trump being a miserable SOB, but and fascist and a dictator, but against what fun is a military if it doesn't have any weapons to play with?
Mm-hmm.
And he's taking all of our weapons, so we don't want him to take our weapons anymore, which is why some 40 of them. They met with the New York Times. They met with another group, met with the Wall Street Journal. Another group met with CBS. Another group met with Europe, the EU, as those who report to NATO. The first and the ringleader of them was the general over NATO who was fired. So they've already gotten one of them. But it was a lot of them that came out because of each, the Washington Post, the New York Times, CBS, and the EU all saying that there were 5 or more flag officers that came to them to deliver this message.
Mm-hmm.
So
What a
4
set
or
of
5
priorities.
times. Yeah, that's the
We
number.
got no problem killing Americans, but we're very upset that we're out of bullets. Just saying.
Yeah, we're very upset we're out of bullets.
Yeah, we're not out of bullets. We got plenty of light armor and
Right.
9mm, all the normal stuff for the American people. We got plenty of that.
Yeah, light armor
That's the
for
long
America.
range.
We can go kill you, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah, we got the Gatling guns and the A-10s and the Apache helicopters. Yeah, we can go kill Americans, but fighting a real war with an overseas enemy, we don't have the toys anymore. Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. Here, this is hilarious. Trump was mocking Pete over the shortage of long-range attack munitions and defensive missiles, and then he says we have no shortage. And then he says, well, we're going to end the war because, we're going to end the war because, the truth is we don't have any more toys to deploy on the war. And, we've already killed the girls in the school and we already killed the government and we got a worse government as a result in it. So, we got nothing else to do. So we're out of here. Yeah, boy, I tell you what, that apartheid regime and Israel building this damn wall, unfair, being the occupiers and the oppressors of the fakistinian people. My mistake. That isn't in Gaza. That isn't even in Israel. Mm-hmm. That's the wall that Turkey is erecting on the Iranian border. Oh my.
Big red Turkish flag on that SUV back there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Turkey. Yeah, we don't report about that kind of stuff. That's what that is. Now, if Iran is not, by the way, going into Turkey, there's no reason for them to go into Turkey. That wall is a waste of money. What the Iranians are going to do is to march 3 to 4 million Iranians into Israel. They're going to march right through Iran, which America gave to them, through Syria, that's no man's land, and right into Israel. Mm-hmm. 4 million. You had 4,000 Muslims and tenny rompers that committed the acts of 10/7 of 23. What are you going to do with 4 million?
Oh, and they're going to gain numbers along the way. As soon as any jihadi with a
the
AK
great jihad,
say,
the great
yes.
jihad, yeah. But they don't need to. 4 million out of the 90 million Iranians, no sweat. Mm-hmm. More than enough to get the job done. No nuclear bomb needed. No Air Force, no Navy needed. Well, they'll have the cover of missiles and drones, of course, and Israel will be out of interceptors. Oops. Speaking of oops, I have long mocked Israel. I dearly love Israel. I just hate the government of Israel. And I hate the religion of Judaism as well, but so does God. So I'm in good standing there. It's possible to love Israelis and to want the best for the people, Yahud and Israelites, and recognize that the people who are working against them, they're politicians and they're rabbis. In this particular case, the thing that is just so foolish for Israel is that they responded to 10/7 in all the wrong ways. I told Israel, wrote them a 100-page letter the morning of October 7th of 23, and then broadcast it twice, and then actually published it in the opening the opening volume here of Goddamn Religion. So it's all published in this volume of Goddamn Religion. It's called At War with Religion. Just to look up the old table of contents here. Muddled message. This is volume 1. Chapter 2. You read that? Chapter 2. At War with Religion. It is page 20. It goes to page 91, so it's only 70 pages in this. So we turn to page 20. Glasses would be a help here, but I want to get this right. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right. There you go. At War with Religion. Go to yadayah.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the book page. So you go to yadayah.com, click on books. You'll see this book at the bottom of the page called Goddamn Religion, Volume 1. Click on it. Go to, it's a table of contents. Will come up on the left side. Click on Chapter 2. There's a little button on the bottom that's a microphone. Click on that. You don't even have to read it. It will talk to you. It will turn the page for you. It'll highlight what it's saying. You can copy and paste it if you want to share it with other people. The book will talk to you and turn the pages. And it is the letter that I wrote in the morning of October 7th of 23. And that open letter said, Israel, these are the 5 things I think you're going to do. And I'm going to show you how every one of these things will be an epic failure. You're going to invade Gaza. You're going to destroy it. And you destroy Israel in the process. you're going to lose by forfeiting the war of public opinion. You're going to misidentify the enemy. And I went through and I said, here's the things you need to do. And I listed the 5 things that Israel had to do if they wanted to win this war. And when I now look at the position that Israel's in, where they've now become the single most hated country on earth, and then the indignity of this, a line up of trucks to feed those who are committed to killing Jews. They're feeding tomorrow's suicide bombers, tomorrow's jihadists. They're actually feeding those who are committed to their destruction. Imagine having fallen to the place where you're condemned by the world for committing genocide among a population that is actually growing, and that you're condemned for being the colonialists when they colonialized you and you're trying to gain your own homeland back, and you found yourself in a position where you must feed your enemy. And that's where Israel is. You didn't win, you lost. When you have to feed your enemy, you lost. And then the story here is that one of those truck drivers is one of the Muslims that crossed the border and perpetrated the terror that was.
Wait, a truck driver? Not like an armed jihadist, not like a well-trained Hamas Muslim terror fighter, not like their army, just a truck driver, right?
Yeah.
Ordinary.
Israel arrested a Hamas terrorist who participated on October 7th in the massacre, driving a humanitarian truck into Gaza.
Just regular old
You're
Muslim.
not only feeding them, you're paying them. Now, if you replace Hamas with Islamic or Muslim, and then you would show that you actually were concerned about the fate of Israel and that you knew how to save Israel's fate, because so long as Israel continues to speak of Hamas and of Palestinians, then Islam wins. You were played right into their hands. You were played for fools, and you're continuing to play the fool. This is an actual picture. No AI. Nothing tampered with. The horned one.
That's his Akia back there behind him, right? And the or that's just
it's some gold,
fixture.
probably eagle or something, but it clearly with that position, it's horns. Whether it's the Roman stylized aquila and the eagle, but it's horns. Yeah, there he is. There's the horned one. Welcome to Satan. They even got the red tie. Nice job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, breaking news. Iran says, well, I can't read it now, but but that's okay. There we go. Thank you. Iran says USA has agreed to accept all demands for making a deal with it. The Strait of Hormuz will be opened under the following demands. And the following demands are, this particular thing is a very poorly written variation of the MOU. But the MOU, release the assets, pay compensation for the damage that you've done, guarantee all non-future aggression, remove the blockade. But it doesn't have all of the terms. I guess this person couldn't bear to write all the terms. That they only had one point of the 14-point plan that was neutral, which is that Iran said, well, okay, we've never built a bomb. We're not going to build a bomb. That was neutral. Every other one was a surrender by the United States. And now Trump has given up on the one point that he could claim was neutral. And but all the ones that say surrender remain. So there you have it. And that's, every news outlet of any consequence, New York Times, Washington Post, CBS, CNN, they're all reporting the same thing, that inside the Trump administration, he's decided to do Hootie 2. He's going to do the Hootie dance. We're going to leave and we're going to declare victory. And somebody else is going to go clean up the mess.
Somebody else is going to, yep. Oh,
Scott
Scotty.
Ritter. God, Scott Ritter. Man, you have become a demon, Scott Ritter. What in the hell happened to you? You know, Scott Ritter, I mean, he's a jughead. Jarhead is what they call him. He's a former Marine, Desert Storm type Marine weapons inspector. And so if you're signed up to be a Marine and you're deployed in the war to make a bad situation worse, and you don't want your whole life to be a lie, you've got to come up with some lies to resolve that crisis, because the reason so many of the veterans who served in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars have committed suicide is because of the moronic nature of the lies that they were told, that they were preserving democracy and liberating a people. The very people they went to liberate wanted to kill them. And we made a bad situation worse. And it became obvious that I was the only person that was right for 10 years when I did 10,000 radio interviews denouncing what we were doing, saying that all we were doing is making a bad situation worse, and explained it through Islam. He doesn't want to have to deal with that. He doesn't want to have to deal with Islam. He doesn't want to have to deal with his own life as a lie. And so you can see he's still living in the past with all of his war memorabilia behind him. And he doesn't want to live with the fact that he even hates his own country that he once served.
Mm-hmm.
And so his way out of that is to condemn Israel. And here he's gone full vomit. Israel is the pariah of the world, and Israel must be destroyed. He is more vile here than any Ayatollah in Iran.
Yeah. I watched it. It's 19 seconds, and it was just like, wow, absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you're right.
Yeah, go ahead and play it. Go ahead and play it. Yes, just show you just how vile a human being can be. I think you've got mute.
Oh.
You know, Israel needs to cease to exist. It is literally the cancer on the planet. If I were the Iranians, I would actually take out Israeli desalinization plants now, right now. End Israel right now. Just end it. Just take it out, end it. Make Israel over. You know, Israel needs to cease to exist. It is literally the cancer on the planet.
Cancer on the planet.
Needs to cease to exist. Take them out.
Goodbye, Scott.
Goodbye, Scott.
Hell.
I know exactly where you're headed.
Yeah, it's hell.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hold the door open for you and shut it when you're in, Scott. I'm going to personally assure. And fortunately, I've been given that authority. I'm sending you to hell, Scott. But you know, Scott, you're going to find a lot of people in hell who agree with you. Maybe you'll like it there. But you know, you're going to have lots of time to make friends. Maybe you can be the secret weapons inspector of hell. Maybe you can be an influencer in hell. Who knows? Maybe there's opportunities for you in hell. But that's where you're going. You will cease to exist among the living, Scott. Goodbye. Good riddance, Mr. Ritter. He wasn't the worst, by the way, that I posted today on Anti-Semite Row.
This woman's just hysterical. Just.
So this is the woman. Okay, well, yeah. So yeah. One after another. You'll have to wash your eyes and ears out with chlorine bleach after this. This is the most repugnant. If he was the most repugnant man on the planet right now, she is the most repugnant woman.
Yeah, this is a person that calls herself a journalist. She's just absolutely
Yeah,
hysterical.
she's out of her.
But then they shoot at people as they're waiting in line for humanitarian aid. Dozens of people get shot and killed literally every single day, as they're waiting for food. No, I'm not going to let you filibuster, bitch. I'm not going to let you filibuster. I'm not going to let you filibuster. You guys are totally okay with IDF soldiers shooting and killing desperate people waiting for humanitarian aid. You're okay with that.
Okay, shut the bitch
I find
up.
it so
Shut the fucking
unbelievably
bitch up.
Where does the food come from?
Israel. And who is protecting the people standing in line from food from the Muslims? Israel. You're a fucking bitch. Now, there are times when the F-bomb is appropriate. And we are in a medium where the F-bomb can be deployed. I'm no longer on syndicated radio.
Deployed F-bomb.
And so I'm going to say you're a fucking cunt. How about that? In fact, that actually is disparaging both the act of fucking and the object of such activity.
Damn.
Well, we'll just add her to the list.
Oh, she made it along.
I don't even want to be around her. That, Scott
Yeah.
Ritter, I'm going to hold the door open and say, Scott, you really blew it here. I'm sorry, pal, but you're going to hell. With her, I don't even want to be. I don't want to be in the neighborhood of this stench. I mean, with her, you're going to say, Malak, I'm sorry. You've got the short straw. Which one of you gets to send this effing cunt to hell? And make certain that she is treated appropriately. I would like her abused the way that she wants Jews abused prior to sending her there. Little Miss Filibuster, as you're screaming over the man below who you filibustered. I'm not going to be anywhere near her. Carrying out the job of being judge and jury, which is the Choder's responsibility. It's stated twice in the presentation of the Choder, is a job that is miserable. There is probably no job worse than that job. I did not seek that job. I do not want that job. But I have this consistent response to Yahowah. If you have assigned a job to me because you think that I'm the most responsible person to carry out that job, I can assure you I'm going to do that job to the best of my ability. And it's this kind of trash here that I'm going to actually enjoy having that responsibility. For most people, it's going to be like Scott Ritter to say again, I don't know where you got this into your mind, but you blew it. And I can't undo what you've done. With her, I don't care what kind of torture she has to endure and retributions for sevenfold for the damage she has done prior to being sent to Sheol. This is the most vile, repulsive piece of shit on planet Earth. Satan comes in many forms. This is the blonde Satan.
Yeah. I nuke it from space. It's the only way to be sure. I mean, I don't want to be anywhere near it.
Oh, I don't want to be anywhere near this. No. But I'm going to be delighted to take this piece of crap and make certain this piece of crap can never speak again. Cut off her tongue, gouge out her eyes, pound nails through her ears prior to sending her to Sheol. All deserved, all appropriate, all responsible, all just.
Yeah. For someone that calls themselves a journalist, her business is words, right? Her business is words, okay? And this is how she comes off on
And by the way, she is consistent. For Scott Ritter, I've heard Scott Ritter 1,000 times over the last 2 years. And mostly because before his last trip to Russia, and he's had 2 trips to Russia recently, Scott Ritter was amongst the most informed people on the nature of the proxy war that America had foisted on Russia. And so he was somebody I listened to. And gradually, as that war lost interest with the American people, because of the vile nature of the Iran war, and he wanted to pretend to be an expert on the Iran war. He gradually moved into besmirching Israel and blaming Israel for that war. And you could see him fall. But he's taken a tumble now. I mean, that last one was just over. You can't recover from that. It's like the interviews that Douglas Macgregor has done, where he has replicated his versions of the protocols of the elders of Zion, going back and painting Israel as the evil force in the world going forward. There is no recovery for Douglas Macgregor. There's no recovery for Scott Ritter. And probably no recovery from a Judge Napolitano who hosts them regularly. Mm-hmm. They have made their bed. It's filled with maggots, and they will rot in it. This woman is a vile creature of an entirely different league. She has never had anything to offer. Those other two had made a meaningful contribution to correcting the lie that Russia was the aggressor in the Ukraine war. They actually did a very nice job of presenting that. So they've made a contribution to humanity. This vile creature has not. However, as we have learned with those who once served the covenant's interests and now work against it, there is no credit for once I once did when you go full rogue, and they all have. It's a weeding out and a tossing away. You've exposed yourself as those who were tossed away. And you will not
and
get
Russia are the metric.
Yes. So I'm glad we did that, just because it's important for people to know how vile X is. Vile. I'm sorry, Israel, that you have to endure this, but I have to tell you, Israel, that your government has made this all too easy. You were misled grossly on Iran, on Lebanon, and on Gaza. You've been misled on the Palestinians. There are none. You've been misled about Islam. You've been misled about Christianity. You've been misled about Judaism and the damage the rabbis have done. You've made your bed too. And it's going to take everything that God and we collectively can muster to save a few thousand of you from what you have done to yourselves.
They will proclaim, "Call me Mara," and it's not until Ruth shows up that they're like, okay.
Yeah, it's really an interesting situation. I had the third opportunity to deal with why God indicates at the end the only ones that are going to listen are the daughters of Zion. Why God says that 7 women will grab after one man in the end. And I think it is the story of Ruth and Boaz. Ruth, it was the solution for Naomi. Naomi represents the vile nature of Jewish women today and their antagonism towards Yahowah. But ultimately, Naomi listened. She came around. Her antagonism was resolved. She repaired the relationship. She accepted the son. The gatekeepers, however, the elders representing the rabbis, they never did. They never will. So, something to think about going forward is that in that mortal remnant, according to Yahowah, women are going to outnumber men by a lot. I think that's also going to be true mostly with the Goyim remnant as well. I think there will be more women than men, and that is troubling a bit because of the fact that women have been so caustic for world politics. They're far more liberal in their decision that we should be collectivized in our approach to things and not individually responsible, driven far more by feeling than by intellect, and that has proved disastrous. So I'm sorry for men, but what I can see is there just aren't any men left, and that's a bit of an exaggeration. We have a really wonderful contribution by the Y2K group and some very, very well-read, well-spoken members of the covenant who are young. But they are 1 in a million.
Yeah.
All right. What do we have after this? Hard to move on from this, but that's our job.
We go from 500,000 to 30,000, so somewhere in there.
Well, it's not even that. It's 30,000 over a course of a lot of years, of 5 years. Yeah, so 28,551 over the course of 5 years versus him claiming 500,000 in Nigeria in 1 year. And it's essentially off by a magnitude of 100 to 1. It's Trumpian math. Listen, I've long said that Vivian was a numbskull, that he does far more harm to Israel than he does good. And when you post something like this, last year alone, Muslims killed 500,000 Christians in only Nigeria, and they want to talk about Palestine. First of all, there are no Palestinians, and the longer that Vivid repeats the lie of Palestine, the more egregious that lie becomes. But second of all, it's obviously not true. Mm-hmm. Obviously not true. It's not even true by 10 to 1. It's errant by closer to 100 to 1. So I just think that even those who are trying to do the right thing have shit for brains now. Mm-hmm. The world has really degraded.
Yeah, the story that Muslims are killing Christians because that's what Muslims do. Doesn't matter if they're Christians, doesn't matter if they're Jews, doesn't matter if they're Pakistani Hindus. Muslims are conquering and killing non-Muslims.
And Muslims,
story.
Yeah, well, that is
Muslims.
True. They've done that since the creation of Islam. Muhammad began by killing his own family and enslaving and torturing his own family members, and then he turned on Jews and perpetrated apartheid and genocide against Jews in Arabia. And after that, Muslims killed 200 million people, most of whom were Christians, in the first 100 years of Islam. Islam is a killing machine. It is that very thing. But if you're going to make a point about them, speak honestly and call it Islam. And second, tell the truth. You're not going to fight a lie with a lie.
No.
The thing that I thought was interesting here is you've got Philistia there, which is essentially today's Gaza. But you have two states, and you have to go up a little higher on this for people to see it because it's below I guess it won't even show up. Oh, there you go. All right, it's there. There are two twins of Israel. Two twins. Moab and Edom. They aren't a separate people. Same family. Edom is the descendants of Esau. He's the legitimate heir. I was writing today about, because Mike pointed it out, Mike Yadi, who is with us every other week on Family Hour, who has been the fact checker for me for 20 years. Very bright, very well read. And when I pointed out that Adam was Dode was Adam, and I quoted that Yahowah said as much in his introduction to him. The first thing he said about him, he's all things pertaining to Adam. That term was used by a second time. All things pertaining to Adam. Mm-hmm. and that was Esau.
Mm-hmm.
And Esau is an interesting study. Esau is actually the authorized heir. Esau was the one that was cheated. Esau is the one who was beloved by his father. Esau was a man's man. Jacob was a wimp. He was a cheater, a conniver, an abuser of women. Yeah, Esau married the wrong women, but Jacob abused women. And he was a wimp. So Edom is named after Esau. Obed-Edom, and the man from Edom that saves many in the end, is designed to say we're going to resolve this fracture in the family, and we're going to have a man's man, beloved of his father, who's not going to cheat or connive his way into this position to resolve this fractured family. And that's why Esau is also called all things pertaining to man. As for Moab, that was Lot and his 2 daughters, which means genetically they are the same as Israel. And it's from Who's Your Daddy, Moab, that Ruth comes. And it's from Edom that Boaz comes. They both had to come from across the Jordan to enter the prophet land, to return the promised land to what it was promised to be.
Yeah, Hebrews from the other side.
Hebrew from the other side. Yep. Wait till you read in Coming Home 4, which I sent to you yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The presentation of Yeshaya, Isaiah 62 and 63, speaking of this man from Edom. As I have shared, it is a symphony of Shems. There are 24 Shems in 17 verses.
Wow.
Pertaining to this man who is credited with resolving the fractured family, with creating the conditions necessary for the homecoming and the family reunion. It should be so pertinent and relevant to people. It should be on the front page of every newspaper, because this is God's solution to the mess men have made. But anyway, I just wanted to point out, notice Moab and Edom from the other side, Hebrew, from a bar, which is the basis of Passover, on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in to resolve the fractured family. Edom, by the way, is based on the name Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Moab means, who's your father? They are Ruth and Boaz. So, here's a senator, and he says, I will support a bad deal to end this war.
That's surrender.
It's called surrender. America lost again. Remember, they lost to the Houthis, they lost in Libya, they lost in Syria, they lost in Afghanistan, lost in Iraq, lost in Ukraine. America has done nothing but lose since the end of World War II, and actually they lost the World War II because it was the Russians who defeated Germany, not the Americans, and America left Europe in the hands of the Soviets, and they were worse than Hitler. And in the in the Pacific, the war in the Pacific, America avenged the death of 2,000 with the deaths of 150 more. And America eventually prevailed by firebombing and then nuking civilian populations in Japan. So America is in a real pickle now. It lost the petrodollar basis, embarrassed itself terribly. And so any deal to end this war, even the Democrats would support. But it's not going to be as Trump wants. He's not going to just sail away and have the Strait of Hormuz opened. He can't just sail away and say, now it's your job to clean up that pile of shit that I put there in the middle of the strait. There's no one to do that. So you can't even hootie it, walk away and declare victory, which is what he's going to attempt to do. Doesn't change the reality.
Well, and yeah, there's the whole issue of removing mines, and then there's the whole issue of Iran saying that you folks that were involved in this war, you don't get free passage. China's ships, India's ships can go in and out as they please. No, the Kuwaitis, you guys can't move your oil through there. Saudi Arabia, you can't move without paying up and paying us. So yeah,
right.
they're screwed. They're
Screwed.
And
Absolutely.
that's before we even got mines moved out of the way, right?
Yeah,
Before
and America doesn't have any basis left, nor credibility, nor anybody that wants them to be there. I mean, the Saudis, who were devastated, Mikey is hiding now in a hole someplace, had to go to the Pakistanis to defend them. And then after going to the Pakistanis, they signed a deal here with Pakistan and Turkey to defend them. Now, can you imagine a mutual defense agreement that if anybody attacks any one of the three countries, that the other two will come to its defense? Can you imagine another spur up between India and Pakistan and Turkey decides to engage between those two countries? What do you think the odds are that's going to happen? Or that America finds that it can't help but bomb Iran again, and Iran decides to take out another facility in Saudi Arabia? Do you think that Turkey is going to start flying warplanes over all of that and drop bombs on Iran? Do you think that Turkey is really stupid enough that they would go to a war with Iran?
No.
So what is the purpose of the agreement that they signed? Let's say that Israel attacks Turkey. What military competency does Saudi Arabia bring?
Yeah, nothing.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. So what is Saudi Arabia going to do if India decides that they want to battle Pakistan? What is Saudi Arabia going to do? They won't even stop selling oil to India, much less engage militarily.
Right.
I mean, this is a military version of NATO between three nations, none of which are going to intervene for the other under any circumstances.
Man, it's last call at the bar, and everybody's looking for somebody, aren't they?
God, it's last call at the bar.
lights
Somebody
have come
got a
on.
credit card here. Somebody know how to use it. Anybody got a bank account?
Everybody's
Last
trying
call.
to hook up with anybody else.
Anybody, got to put on the beer
somebody.
goggles and say, "Well, that girl over there, she's not so ugly, well, but it's a dude."
Man.
Oh well.
Yeah.
No, that's a goat. Oh well, that's my ticket right there.
It is. What a mess. What an absolute
mess.
This.
What a mess. Netanyahu. Oh, he explained why the attack on Iran was necessary as follows. What a piece of shit. Iran has been shouting death to America for 47 years. Yeah, guess why? Guess why? America has been maniacal in its maneuvering inside of Iran. Cause and effect, pal. Are you unfamiliar with cause and effect? was America that did away with the government of Iran when they weren't giving America the lion's share of the profits of the oil taken out of Iran, and brought in the Shah under the basis that he would play as America's puppet. But when the Shah realized that the deal with America was raping Iran and wanted the Iranians to benefit from their oil, America replaced the Shah with the Ayatollah. That was under the peanut farmer Jimmy Carter, the gross anti-Semite. You don't like the Ayatollah and that regime in Iran? Blame the United States.
You picked him.
We did that.
That was your guy. Yeah.
That was your guy in America. And then when they did that, America put sanctions on Iran. And then has been sanctioning Iran ever since, making life very difficult for Iranians. So why wouldn't Iranians say death to the United States? We've been tormenting them for 47 years. Think it through. Cause and effect. And what he's trying to do here is justify another war on Iran, both of which have turned out miserably for Israel. And there's a third one: Israel will be destroyed. They will get the Ritter treatment. They will be destroyed. They're going to be destroyed by Iran anyway. There's only going to be a remnant left. But it's Netanyahu who has taken Israel by this kind of rhetoric that is worn so thin with the world that as much as we want to defend and support Israel, makes it essentially impossible. Israel has become its own worst enemy.
Oh, and they're going to go it alone on Iran too.
That's what he's saying. He's saying we're not going. He has officially rejected the Hamas Board of Peace plan, and is now rejecting Trump's desire to get out of the Iranian war, allowing Iran to have a nuclear bomb if they want one, because he's saying, I'm don't care. All I want is the Strait of Hormuz open. So Israel saying, well, then we're going to go back to war with Iran, and we're not leaving Gaza. So there you go. And the Iranians are, by the way, saying that we're not going to open the strait until Israel has stopped killing Palestinians in Gaza and is out of Lebanon. And so the Trump administration has got to do everything they can to get Israel to capitulate. Otherwise, they can't get the strait back opened, even under a toll system. That's why Israel eventually is going to be betrayed. But it's Israel that's putting itself in the position where it makes it inevitable that it's going to be sacrificed. And so, sorry, Israel, but you have done this to yourself. And this man is complicit in that. He has been the most destructive Israeli perhaps ever. And that's saying something, because you started with a really lousy one in Saul. And you've had a lot of lousy ones since.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Mm-hmm. From Saul to Netanyahu. Hey, that's a nice picture. The family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have so many beautiful ones. This is one of my very favorites. I'm thinking about even possibly using this on the cover for word pictures. Michal, I think it'd be a lovely picture for the cover of Word Pictures, which will be Coming Home 5. Making great progress on finishing them. I've finished Coming Home 4, superscripts and additions, now 650 pages, some odd pages. It's Coming Home 5 is superscripted, and it's been completed and edited, and I'm doing an edit pass right now on Coming Home 6. It's all got the superscripts. It's like 725 pages. The only thing that really needs to be done is that the edit team, at least one of the members of the edit teams, needs to go through the new material that I have added to each of those 3 books and make sure that, because nobody can really edit themselves. You just read right past them.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody does that for us, one of the 3 here, will get all 3 of these books published. And I'm thinking that, this kind of thing would make image would make a nice cover. That is our version of what we think Doe's going to look like as he comes back. And we're going to serve as advisors and parents and support our king and there for the harvest.
We talked a little bit about it earlier before the show, but are we going to do a Bashar episode today? Are we starting a new series?
Yes, we are.
Take a day
yes,
off?
we are.
Okay.
Yeah, what we have to decide is where do we start? Because when I did that series on luminaries, at the time there were 3 interwoven versions of Coming Home, but they were all called Coming Home 4, and I broke them into Coming Home 4, 5, and 6, Bashar, Mashal, and Maorith. And in that process, it's likely that we covered some of what is in Coming Home 4 as then we progressed and it became Coming Home 6. I know that sounds complicated, but we were writing Coming Home 4 to deal. We were writing it to deal with a fractured family. Speaking of that episode, where there was just some horrendous things written and said in a breakaway group, and Yahowah had our back and said, "Well, this is my response to them." And so we went there and added it after I had translated the next 3 Mizmor for the Coming Home series, which is 33, 34, and 35. And in that, I have just finished what I think is one of the most profoundly important translations and insights I've ever written, which is Yeshaya's presentation of the arrival of the man from Edom and how that progresses from his 62nd chapter into his 63rd. And that's in the midst of that. So I definitely want to share that. And then so we just have to figure out what we've covered previously and how we now present Coming Home 4 based upon the way it was rewritten. And, we may just start at 33, 34, and 35, even if we've covered them previously, just because it really is a wonderful message that is conveyed in them. And then we'll skip forward in time. But that is the plan. We have finished the Luminary series with the conclusion of the book of Ruth.
Is Rich going to take us some outdoor photos so we can see the sun blotted out by the Sahara sun?
Boy, that was amazing. It was so amazing this morning. It was bad in a marvelous way this morning. I always get up before the sunrise, and so Leigh and I were having a cappuccino out this morning as the sun was rising, and when it came up over the ocean, when Rich shows that view over my shoulder, that is due east here, and the sun this time of year rises right in that isthmus of that little peninsula that you see that goes out. And when it rose this morning, what you saw was the moon, because the sun appears exactly the same size in the sky as the moon. They're identical in size from our perception, because the sun is 400 times larger in diameter, but 400 times further away. And it was covered with this silver sand of the Sahara sand. And so its luminosity was identical to a full moon. You could look right at it. So you're looking at the sun straight out, and it looks identical to the moon. That was a really weird experience this morning as it rose. But we're having this onslaught of Sahara sand. We had one day not too long ago where there was a dusting where there's like a 1/16 of an inch of Sahara sand on everything. And otherwise, there are days where it causes the ocean, the sky, and the clouds all to appear the same color, all the silver gray color. The positive, of course, is that we don't have to bring in soil. We're having it flown in. But also that because of the dryness of it, you don't get any hurricanes, whether Sahara sand. The negative is we're in a drought situation, so that's not good. But it's a really an interesting time here with the Sahara sand. We're in the month of August, which is the number 1 month for major hurricanes, and it's the first month we actually have waves off of the coast of Africa. Normally, by this time there'd be 50 or 75 waves that would come off the coast of Africa with 10 named storms. And we haven't had a single named storm in the central Atlantic this year, not one. And they've got one now that has a 60% chance of developing, but unfortunately, it's going to curl and go north of us. So we're not likely to get any rain from it. And the other one is going to go south of us. So we could, normally this time of year, you don't root for waves turning into developing into storms because this is when the water's the warmest and they become the meanest. But we do need the rain.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you. We have reached the 2-hour timeline. We'll end with this handsome picture of the family, Ruth, Boaz, and Dode. They're in the fields of Bethlehem. Thank you for enduring this onslaught of turds from the swamp brought to us by Grok and X. Whoever thought that AI and Grok would be a turd farmer? But he is. He is the cultivator of the anti-Semitic Muslim and Marxist and MAGA turds. And somebody's got to refute him. Thanks so much. Good day.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.